Yes, beyond. Yes, yes. Greetings in the name of His and Her Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie the First, Empress Wazira Menin. One perfect balance. Yes, family. Greetings and welcome to another special edition of Politically Incorrect, where we get it correct, and if we're not correct, y'all already know. Please correct us. Send us a email. Send us a smoke signal. Like I said, even use the pigeon, but get a message to us and let us know what your thoughts are. Yeah, welcome. I trust that everyone had a wonderful weekend. Spent some time with family and just reflected on life and the beauty of life. Yesterday would have been that famous time of the year where they say it is Mother's Day. We call it Matriarch Day, and we give thanks to all those celebrating. You know, accordingly. Although we know that Mother's Day is every day, and mothers really do make it happen on many levels. Yesterday, the world stopped to acknowledge you accordingly. So we give thanks, we give thanks, we give thanks. I So tonight we have a conversation. It's a call-in program. Y'all already know the number for those who are now tuning in, perhaps for the first time. What's the number again? It is area code 246-838-8253. Once again, that number is area code 246-838-8253. So we have a topic tonight we want to discuss, and someone said it's a bit controversial. I said, how could it be? We're dealing with reality, so there's nothing. It may seem controversial, but reality is reality. And the question is, what is the problem with women in Barbados? Of course, we're saying Barbados because we live here, not that this is isolated and is focused on Barbados. But the question is, what is the problem with women in Barbados? So we're going to get to the bottom of this tonight. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Yeah, we're going to get to the bottom of it. Let me get it. I have to take some notes, so get a piece of paper here. Anyhow, so we're going to play a tune right now. In the meantime, go tell a friend to tell a friend. Politically Incorrect is on live. Want to give a shout out to all those on Facebook, those tuning in on Facebook, also those watching from my personal page on Facebook, and also those on YouTube. This is quite interesting. Quite interesting. There's a whole lot of names here I don't really recognize, which is interesting as well. So I guess folks are almost ready to make this thing happen. So while we taxi down the runway, let me go ahead and share screen and let's play a tune. Let's play a tune, man. A tune for our sisters as well. Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not?
Black woman, ooh, black woman.
Yes.
Like me, you're struggled now. Your truck one of life's roughest road. You get the heaviest load.
It said it's a heavy load.
To be someone to belong.
It says a heavy load.
Tell them to have furlong. Don't give up now. Pray for strength now. For you I'll dedicate my song.
Da da da. Tell a friend to tell a friend, family.
We are the same one in the plantation. We lashes to a skin. On auction blocks we were chained and cold. End up merchandise. Kindly abused. Boy, we were abused. Thrown in the garbage bin. But no need for that now. Free yourself of that now. And help me sing my song.
Yes. Tell a friend to tell a friend, family. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Live and direct. What is the problem with women in Barbados? What is the problem? Tell a friend to tell a friend, family. Yes, 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 family. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
I heard Rachel mourning for her children when Aaron and Sarah took their little heads. But like Mary and like Joseph, the mother of Moses too.
Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
Says, I dedicate my song for you. La da da da
La
da
la la.
da 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 da
What is the problem, family? What is the problem?
Woman, oh black woman, no you struggle long.
The struggle, the struggle, the struggle.
Leave your reflection. You are dedicate my song.
Serious, serious, serious. Tell a friend to tell a friend, family. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
La da 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 Thank you very, very much. I love you.
Yes, yes. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Yes. Oh man. Okay, family. I give thanks. We give thanks. Wonderful. 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 Yeah. So, man, I want to give a shout out to everybody. Like I said, online. I mean, there's too many names to call at this point, but we definitely give thanks. Shout out to all the family, day ones. Y'all already know. Shout out to Fade. Y'all already know how it goes. Man. All right. So there's a question that's up. Oh man. In regards to what specifically? Now, the question is, what is the problem with women in Barbados? I think then another question should be asked is, do women in Barbados have a problem? Do they have a problem? I think that's a place to start. A lot of people said, maybe I gotta be careful with this topic because it's controversial. I was thinking, nah, man, this is necessary, very necessary. It might be an uncomfortable conversation, but it's a necessary conversation. So why would you say there's a problem? Well, I hear it all the time. I get phone calls. I'm always listening to people, share their concerns, and I've come to realize one thing, if nothing else, um, there is something amiss with regards to women in Barbados. And I mean, if you're being honest, the average person, as a matter of fact, I asked someone this afternoon, if they're going to tune in. One lady, she said, you know what? I am always angry. I was like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean you're always angry? So then the question is, are women in Barbados angry? Are women angry? What are your thoughts? What are some of your thoughts? Bear in mind, like I said, it's a call-in program. The number is area code 246-838-8253. Feel free to call in if you are online and you are interested in coming in the studio. We can arrange that as well. Just give us a holler. Matter of fact, I'm going to paste the link in the comments for those who want to come on live. The link is on there. If you want to come on the live, it's right there. Bear in mind that this works better. This platform works much better on a Chrome browser. It allows for easier streaming. So if you want to come on the studio, the link is there for Facebook. The link is also there for those on YouTube. Feel free to click it and follow instructions. If you want to call in, number again is 246-838-8253. So what's going on with the women in Barbados? I mean, I asked a brother this question earlier. He said, "No, I don't think so. At least I don't have a problem. I was with my wife. Of course, the wife was standing about 2 feet away, but he laughed. So I thought it was interesting that he laughed as if I can't answer that question right now because, wifey right there, I got to go home." So it was interesting. He kept laughing like he knew something that he wanted to say and couldn't say. But the question is, what is the problem with women in Barbados? It sounds rough, but I have to say this, and I'm going to say this without apology, man. I think personally that there is a problem with women in Barbados. And again, I'm using Barbados because that's where we live. And this might very well apply also across the board. So then the question is, what is the problem? Well, shouldn't we be talking about both genders? Well, we could do a program for the males as well, but we're going to start. We started with the women. We're going to start with the women. You know, they say ladies first, right? We're going to start with the females. Um, Let me answer this question then. I mean, being honest, whether you're at work, interacting with your colleagues, your peers, is there a problem with the women in Barbados? Like, do you notice there's a problem with them? One of the things I noticed, right? And again, this is just observation. And by the way, this is not me painting the entire country with one brush. It's an observation across the board from different parts of the island. Um, Women always seem a bit angry and very frustrated, short fused and quick to just ready to go right off at the littlest thing, the smallest thing. I was in the mall early and I watched a young man, he was walking, he almost like choked on something, not sure if he was eating or whatever. And so he started to cough, like really like he was about to throw up. So his father ran in quick to check and see if he was all right. And the mother turned around and started screaming at him. He's probably like maybe 3 years old. I mean, maybe 3 years old at best. And she was just screaming, and I was like, wow, that's the sin I'm talking about. But I don't know what led up to that, or what would cause her to respond that way. But I'm saying that you kind of see it a lot. And that what appears to be anger, I told someone, it may not even be anger, it may just be frustration. Maybe the women aren't angry, maybe they're more frustrated, maybe they're more disappointed, or let's put it in a nutshell, maybe they're just tired. Maybe they're just tired. I can't tell you how many times I hear a woman tell me, man, I'm just tired. Matter of fact, I am tired of being tired. And I was like, well, wait a minute. We onto something here, because you're tired, you're frustrated, and everything is on you, especially when they're a single parent, because the men not around, or they're not pulling their weight of their responsibility, and all the weight of parenthood rests on the shoulders of a woman. She got to do everything. She got to deal with everything. She got to balance everything, And then sometimes the children aren't as, understanding, and it's just more pressure on top of pressure. Then there's work environment. Then maybe their health might be an issue. Um, there's so many other things going on in the mind of a woman that I suspect that what we might perceive as anger or frustration really boils down to them just being tired, because they had to do so much for so long, and it's just one generation after the other being repeated. And the issue with men to some degree comes up. Now, why I say issue with men? Because there's this survey, and there's this information that says a lot of females have suffered some form of abuse in one way or the other, usually at the hands of a man. And I was saying to someone, what if is it possible that maybe women have a innate psychological hatred towards men? It may not look that way, but imagine someone who is traumatized and victimized by a man, whether it's an older man or whatever the case is, as a young lady, and this negative idea comes into your mind as a young lady, and then you grow up and you bury that trauma. You bury that. You may have a relationship, it may not go so well, and you bury that trauma, and you keep going through different experiences with men, and you keep burying the trauma. And as you grow and mature and get stronger and stronger, you get more resistant to these things. Sometimes you even forget some of this stuff. And here it is now that you're a mature woman and you have difficulty in a relationship. Do we always recognize that maybe some of the difficulty we have in our relationships are directly linked to past traumas that we have not healed from, we have not recognized, that we may have swept under the rug and taken it a bit for granted, that it affects us today in our daily life, how we talk with each other, how we interact, how we care for each other or don't care for each other. you know is it possible that perhaps a lot of us carry that weight of not having forgiveness, and that causes us to be so frustrated that it comes out like aggression or anger, especially towards men? you know how would we distinguish the difference? How can a woman in her self, in her conscious self, recognize that maybe maybe she maybe you know she might need to do some healing or take some time to heal in order to develop that more nurturing side, to develop what we need to have the house restored, the family restored. Because think about it, if a woman is not balanced within herself on that level, then the children, what are the children seeing? They break up with the relationship, and then they're cussing the man all day, every day. The children is watching this, the children are seeing this, they're experiencing emotional roller coaster by their mother. And what are they learning? What are they seeing? Then they get older, carry on that same trauma in their own relationships as well. And if the woman ain't happy, the home ain't happy. If the home ain't happy, and nobody happy, especially the children. So that's why I said we're going to start with the females, or sisters, because I think that as men, we got to start recognizing that we need to be a bit more patient with our women and give them the room and the space to mature and heal and be a bit more empathetic, because perhaps we, in our response, sometimes behave like them, being angry, frustrated, and have our own trauma that comes across as anger. And then it's just basically locking horns and going back and forth and back and forth. Uh, but anyhow, that's my 2 cents. That's my thoughts. I don't know if anybody have a different opinion. The lines are open. Feel free to call and share your thoughts. What do you think? What is the problem with women in Barbados? I think personally that a lot of our sisters just tired, and they don't really have a problem. I think they need some support in many different forms. Not only with the current stuff that's going on, but perhaps with past events, like I said, that may have been swept under the rug, gone unnoticed. Raised up in a home with a mother who might have been bitter as well. Cussing the man every day, and then the daughters recognizing this and seeing how they interact with men, adopt the idea that this is how you deal with a relationship, this is how you deal with a man, and therefore that cycle is perpetuated over and over from one generation to the next generation. Just my thoughts. Let's see some of these comments here. The sister said, "We haven't, women haven't healed from generation trauma." Wow, that's the same thing I'm talking about. Give thanks for sharing, my sis. It's a reality. Um, Wayne, I see you, Wayne. I see you, Wayne. Lan, I see you as well. She said balance. I agree. I agree. Balance is important, man. Maybe because women have been suppressed or victims of abuse. This is what I'm saying. Rosemary, that's a profound statement. Like I said, not everybody's open to being honest about abuse. I mean, I've met people that denied it for quite some time and then eventually say, you know what? I did experience stuff as a child, and didn't realize it could have had this kind of effect on me. I didn't realize it till I started going in and looking into myself a little deeper. And the sister said again, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Let me say this, man, and make no mistake about it. A lot of this trauma isn't even coming from women directly in this generation, but there's generational trauma coming all the way back from the plantation, things that would have happened through your bloodline, through your mother's mother's mother, that you are now carrying, not realizing that you are carrying that energy that was passed on. And they talk about breaking generational curse. The church will say, break the generational curse. And do we really understand what that means? Do we really grasp what it means to break that? Recognizing that we have a duty to not pass on this energy to our children. You know, sister said that women are the backbones of any home, and they are not given the real respect that they are due. And I totally agree. I totally agree. And I think that's why we're having this conversation to discuss how can we start to heal our sisters? How can we start to encourage healing in our families? How can we start to look at some of the problems and find ways to bring resolution to them, rather than simply perpetuating the cycle from one generation to the next? So, how do we address that? Yes, the phone lines are open, sis. The phone lines are open. Like I said, the number is area code 246-838-8253. Or you can click on the link if you want to come on the live. Like I said, feel free. Um, it's there. Shalom, my friends. I see you, family. She said, "What a question after Mother's Day." Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's why we gonna deal with this, man. We gonna deal with it, man. Um, Someone said there's an attempt to get men and women to swap roles in the Western world. Well, a man gonna be a man. A man is going to be a man, and that's just reality. You can't get a man to swap anything. That's just not going to happen. So that's not how that is going to work. So but we have someone on the line here calling in. Good night and welcome to Politically Incorrect. You're on the air.
Good night. I found that this is a very interesting topic, and I think a lot of what you said that did resonate in that there is a lot of trauma. There are things that, and I think that one of the things that we need to look at is the fact that, especially within the, or like in Barbados, yes, but generally within the Caribbean region, you find that families tend to be headed by females. And by virtue of the fact that you have a family that's headed by a female, when that is not necessarily the way that it was divinely ordered,
Hmm.
if you understand that the female is supposed to be the helpmeet, as in you're helping the man to do what it is he has to do, and you end up as a female having to play the role of both mother and father, when that's probably not what you bargained for in the very beginning, you will find that you may have, well, at least in my case, you have children growing up sometimes living under the headship of a person, of a female who is bitter, and you keep hearing it. I know in my case, my mom would tell us all of the time that she didn't plan on getting married and having to raise two children on her own.
Hmm.
So every single day you heard that, you know that if she didn't have three children, she would be elsewhere or she'd be doing something else with her life. So there's a bit of guilt that you grow up with. Sometimes as a child, you there's no father in the home, but you may look like your father. You may remind your mother of your father. So there are things that you carry with you, and
Hmm.
even then too, you whether for good or for bad, as a child, you can only copy the things that you can only live out the things that you have seen, the patterns that you have seen. So even if it is a case that as a parent you want to be a better parent than what your parents were, that's all you've ever seen. So unless you make a very conscious effort not to copy the patterns and the behaviors that your parents exhibited, whether it's in their relationships, whether it's in their interactions, you will inevitably copy those and perpetuate them with your children. Um, I and that's me as a girl, but I had a brother, a younger brother, and one of the things that I know resonated with me
Hmm.
was how he was raised. And whereas I, as a girl, I was required to do a number of things around the house, he was not. And I, I will be honest with you, I love my brother, but I would not marry somebody like him because he grew up not knowing. My mom didn't teach him to. He was not required to cook. He was not required to clean. He was not required to iron or to take care of himself. So, to my mind, he would have been a burden on anybody that decided to get involved with him.
So what
So
you say? What you're saying is that some mothers, what, they spoil their
they
sons.
coddle. I wouldn't use the word spoil. I'd use the word coddle. I'm not from here, and I can tell you that in my country we don't treat boy children the way that Barbadians treat boy children. My mom was special. My mom coddled her boy child, but that was more the exception than the rule. But I find that this whole idea of you meet a man and he's 40 and he's still living at his mother's home, what happened? So that means his mother and I going to be in the kitchen together cooking on a Sunday? No. To me, there's a need for you to go out and you establish your own family. And I find a lot of mothers tend to keep their boy children close
Well,
and don't allow them to spread their wings and to stand on their feet and be men.
someone said here, the men learn from their mothers. A mother is a man's first true love, and the son is mother's first love.
Well, if that is the case, that means we as mothers are doing a really lousy job because a woman, there's also, okay, I know there's a saying that goes that a woman will take what you give her and multiply it. Yeah.
Okay,
So if you as a woman come across a man who is giving you a lot of foolishness, that means that's gonna go south very quickly.
okay. So you think that then in the relationship, then in terms of how women respond to men, is based a lot on how the man is, and if he's raised by his mother to be dependent on the woman, then that relationship, what you're suggesting, isn't going to go but so far.
I don't think so. I don't think that it will work out to be as well. It will work out to be all that it can be because bear in mind that um women are okay. I can't speak for all women. I can speak for myself. And in terms of me personally, I anybody who knows me would probably characterize me as a strong woman. And strong for, I guess, strong because you have no choice. You have to be strong, right?
Right.
If you're not, then things are not going to work out properly. But there comes a time when you get tired of being strong.
Let me answer your question.
Hmm.
Direct question. Would you say you're angry at times as a woman, or frustrated, or
Of
perhaps just
course.
tired?
All three.
All the above.
All three, all of the above. All of the above. And sometimes to varying degrees. Um,
Where you think that comes from, though? Like, is it based on just being frustrated at things not seemingly working, or where do you think that? Because if it is, I mean, there must be a relationship between being tired, frustrated, and angry. I mean, what is the root cause you think behind that feeling or those feelings?
okay. I know for me, um, as I said, it has always had to be a case where you, because nobody's coming to save you, because nobody's coming to help you, there's a need for you to always do for yourself. You have people, you have friends in your life who would always look to you for advice. You always have people calling on you. You always have people requiring things of you, whether it's emotionally, physically, spiritually. And at the end of the day, it does not always seem that you have, you
Hmm.
always giving out, but there's not always somebody to put back in.
Okay, I see you. Let me
Um,
say, someone said here. Let me throw this at you and see what you think about it. Emotional abuse is one of the main abuse that women go through from the time they are born. Girls are taught to be in the house doing the household chores, and boys are allowed to run free.
That is true. My mom, we as girls, it was three of us. We as girls, we could not be out after a certain time. My brother was allowed to run the streets, and that's standard operating procedure. There is that double standard,
Mhm.
and I guess moms can justify it, but there is that double standard.
Wow. All right,
Yeah.
all right, all right. Well, thank you for calling and sharing your thoughts. I think someone say what you're saying is facts. Actually, there's several comments in online here, um, saying she's talking facts. Amen. And close. You see, the retirement age is still created by the elderly mothers. They cater to on it. Well,
But
I
even
a
that,
mother's love,
you realize,
a mother's love. I mean,
no, 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 no. We have a lot of Peter Pan syndrome going on in this place.
retirement
Let's be
age is 60
honest.
somebody years old. I mean, the mother
No,
will have
it doesn't matter. The age
to.
doesn't matter. The mindset is what we're looking at. We have a lot of Peter Pans walking around in grown up
Okay,
bodies.
okay, okay. So if the women are frustrated with the men and they're angry because of the lack of responsibility that the men are displaying in terms of not stepping up as men, well, a lot of these men are then being raised by women. Is there a cycle here? Because let's look at this. Is there a cycle? Do you see a cycle? And if so, what do you suggest we do to break that? Give me your thoughts.
It would appear that there's a cycle, yes, but oddly enough, that is not always the case with all mothers.
Right.
So
Exactly.
it begs the question, where do we get that from? Because for me, I have a son who from very early was taught not to be a burden on a female. So he was taught from the time he was been about 7 to cook. So he could make his little scrambled eggs and his little pancakes and stuff. And now as an adult, he will not he will probably prefer to eat bread than to do it. And then at times he will look at me and say to me, "But you're my mother, you're supposed to take care of me." It's like, you for real? Now I know I raised him differently. So the question remains, that is what you're living out now, or your expectations are not necessarily in keeping with the values that you were taught. So I don't know if it's a case that you have an infiltration of, I don't know, culture or pop culture, or I don't know, but in a lot of instances they don't always live out what they're taught.
Wow. Wow. Well, I thank you for sharing your thoughts, and I'll see what the folks have to say in response to that. Thanks for calling in.
You're welcome.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. It's interesting because I have a comment here now by a brother Wayne. He said, Emmanuel, some of what the caller is referring to is called codependency, and some women find themselves in a mental state and unhealthy dependency on relationships. The codependent will do anything to hold on to the relationship to avoid a feeling of abandonment, an extreme need for approval and recognition, a sense of guilt when asserting themselves, a compelling need to control others. Is this true? Is there some truth to this? Do women have sometimes a compelling need to control others, or is this something that is shared both by men and women? And if so, when this spiral goes on, how do we then again seek to bring resolution to this? Because I told someone, think about the plantation. Think about back on the days of the plantation when you know we weren't even allowed to have a relationship. Black men and black women were not even allowed to have a healthy relationship. It was for a purpose of procreating to produce a particular seed for the sake of the market. And so it's like we couldn't get attached to each other because at any minute you could be ripped from the person you were attached to. So you weren't allowed to have that ability to feel and that connection, that love, that that ability to provide for each other and be that bond, that family, to build that family. And so women had to deal with men very differently, and men had to deal with women very differently. Do you think that there's a more deeply rooted psychological reason why we have this disparity between male and female in relationships, to the point where our sisters are seemingly getting angry or seemingly frustrated, or like I said, breaking it down to the lowest common denominator, simply just tired of being tired? You know, what are your thoughts? I know of men who get their clothes washed and ironed by their mothers because she does it better than the wife. Ah man, that right there. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, women are held to a very high standard. They expect to do everything within the home. I think we put too much pressure on our women. I think as men, sometimes if you have a wife and your mother is doing your laundry, I think at this state, it goes back to what the sister said earlier. Mothers, these mother, what is it? Mothers, what do they call it? Mama's boy. This idea, and so a man never gets to stand up and man up. I mean, I've been doing my laundry for as long as I can remember, from as young as I can remember. I've been cooking from the time I was young as I can remember, cleaning the house, whether the bathroom, the home, because I was raised in an environment where it wasn't the idol between granny and my own mom. That wasn't, nah, they do. Nah, you got to take care of certain responsibilities that were given to you, and those were your duties to fulfill. So it wasn't a burden. It was ways of helping you develop certain principles as a man, not to be dependent on a woman, but rather be able to assist a woman who, like the sister said, in most cases are nurtured to function that way in terms of the household. So yeah, that's quite interesting. So I just had a call here. I think we lost that caller. Let's see with her if that's what happened. Yeah, the number is 246-838-8253. Yeah, I see your message. Try to call again then. I'm not sure why it didn't go through. Let me check the Wi-Fi. Oh, that's why. Yeah, I see. There you go. There you go. Yeah, you can try to call again. Hello, good night, caller. You're on the air. Yeah, you can try to call again.
Greetings.
Greetings. You might have to mute your background mic so there's no feed forward.
Okay.
You know what they
That's
say?
me.
They say turn the radio down. Yeah, go ahead. You're on the air.
Okay. Greetings, family. The caller before said a mouthful, and you know what it comes down to is setting boundaries. You know, coming out of what people label as a slave trade, we never really healed. We went from one aspect of labor into another, and no one ever really looked at us and said, "Hey, let's get together and heal." We just naturally went into, oh, woman is supposed to cook, clean, do all these things, and the men run wild and do what they need to do because they were the village rams, right? They were used as breeders during the time of slavery. So we never really came out of that. We just transitioned into another phase, you know, but it comes down to setting boundaries, and it comes down to looking at yourself and starting that healing process. If you don't heal, how can you now give yourself to somebody else or really let that person earn you? Because we make ourselves so available. A man passes the street and whistle at us, the first thing we do is want to give him the drawers, basically. You know, let that person earn you. Let them see your value and your worth. All too often, women here, they don't see their value and their worth. A man whistle at them, seeks at them. The next thing you know, give me your number, and it is thinking it's a relationship, right? But this is generational trauma. We never really heal from that. And that's where we have to start.
Go ahead,
brother.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
That's where we have to start. We have to start talking with each other and not at each other. Because all we do is scream. Nobody really listens.
No communication. Yeah.
To what the other person is saying.
How do you go about healing this kind of trauma? Somebody said that we can't keep blaming slavery. It's too many years have passed. How do we go about healing from that?
When healing slavery, I was using that as the catalyst as to why we do what we do. How do we go about healing? Start talking with each other. Sit down and have conversations. Listen, instead of trying to come up with the next response. Listen to what that brother or sister is saying, and then come to a good conclusion. It's called, I call it 21 days of healing. You have to go within. You have to start looking at yourself first. That's the only way. When you begin to heal, that's the only way you can now heal the brother. Wonderful. Remember, sons come from us as the mothers.
True.
We give life to this. We are the first cause. When Creator created new self, we were the first cause. The woman was the first cause. All of the crap we're going through started with us as women. So we have to find a way to heal our brothers. You know, these boys become men, and men become fathers, and they carry all of this, what they see in the house. A couple months ago, we have a brother who was actually with a belt beating a sister. Wow. You know, I understood the brother was in pain because he come out of trauma. And here she is with the 2 children sitting there, probably pregnant with the 3rd one, and that's additional trauma. And this is not just trauma from now, this is generational.
Generational, yeah, I agree.
We bring this with us constantly. It's only when we stop and say, look, let me smell the roses. Let me go within. Let me look at myself and see what's going on with me. Then I can sit down and have a conversation with my brother.
Wow.
And help him to start healing, because he in pain too. The brothers are in pain.
True.
Our men are in pain. Our boys are in pain.
But we definitely got to start the healing process. That's why this conversation may be uncomfortable, but I said very necessary, because we do have to start the healing process. I thank you for calling and sharing, my sister.
Thank you.
Give thanks.
Thank you. Peace.
Give thanks. Yes, thanks. Yes, like she said, healing is requirement. Faith, go ahead. You're on the ear. You may have to unmute your mic if you're there.
Greetings, Emmanuel and family.
Hi, greetings, family. How are you?
I'm fine.
Wonderful. What's your
And
thoughts on
you?
this? Me, man, I am patient at this point. I think that it's important to listen and recognize that it's a touchy subject, but I'm open to learn tonight. I'm really open to learn and understand some of the challenges that face our sisters, so we can help each other. What are your thoughts on what is a
I
part of
trust
it?
I trust you I trust you know this voice, right?
Very well, very much so, and thank you for calling.
Right. So I think is a lot to do with healing. I share my story. I don't really share my story, but I decide to share it tonight.
Okay, go right ahead.
Right?
Go right ahead.
So healing, let me start there. When I was like 11 years old, I had my mother had a family friend that used to come over
Mm,
and stuff. He molested me. So I told my mother, and the arrangement was money would be passed to keep her mouth closed. So it started there. I started to resent men in a kind of way. You understand? So I got my children father is a very nice person. I got my kids early and stuff. He's overseas and we ain't part on bad terms nor nothing. Just it was an opportunity. So I got involved with someone else after him and trauma, like things that he would do and it just push it further on like I don't like men, you know? It just and I forgive and I forgive and I forgive for whole 4 years of trauma. And I just forgiving all the time and they just get up one morning and like I don't like you no more, I don't like men no more. I just I try all know I trying to get myself back on that level to like men and to be with a man. But it comes so natural now, like even many men that's come to me and I be like my friend will be like, yeah, dog, yeah, try. He really interested and he really love you. The things he's be doing, yeah, try. I train, but I can't get on that wall. I train,
wow.
you know. I I want to be in that space again, but just the trauma and it goes back to healing. You
Wow.
understand?
Well,
So
yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing with us openly as a family, and that's just profound. I think your courage to be able to come forward and say the things you just shared is an indication that you're ready for healing. You're ready to heal rather than carrying that baggage of anger and resentment towards men all these years, that would have affected and impacted in your relationships. And the worst part is that how you treated that man, how you spoke to that man, how you interacted with that man would have been seen by your children. So, in order to show them something different now, your courage of stepping forward is commendable. I personally can only tell you that I we are here for you, and in any way we can help you go through that process of healing. There are many sisters on here who I know have different sacred sister groups that focus on collective healing and sharing experiences. And so, anytime you want to connect, the number is there. Like I said, 246-838-8253. Link up. And there's the FADE program, there's the FADE initiative. I know you're a part of such. And I guess that even being a part of that community has built your courage to the point where you can openly come and share. And so
it's true.
I'll say this to you. As a man, I apologize to you for all that has happened, for all that men have done to you. And I pledge as a man to help you in any way I can, myself and the brothers that we all involved in the same initiative. So I thank you, sis, and I appreciate your presence, man. I thank you for calling in.
No problem. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh man. All you could do is just show that sister some love. All you could do is send some kinetic energy and just send some love, family. Just that is that's what I'm talking about. And be honest about the fact that There's a deeply rooted hatred towards men. I'm not saying it goes for every woman, and this doesn't apply to every woman. So there's no need to call and tell me that I'm talking foolishness. Like if it don't apply, let it fly. But there are women who have been hurt deeply, in most cases, by a man in their childhood in some form, and subconsciously there's that hatred. And if we have not healed from that trauma, the brother is right. I mean, we can't blame slavery, but it may trigger a memory from slavery. You see what I'm saying? We're not pointing blame. We are saying that we got to be honest about this thing, man. That women are angry. It's obvious. Look around you. I mean, they argue about anything all day, every day, and everything is an argument. But it's not that they're angry. They're just tired. They're tired of carrying all this weight, all this guilt, all this frustration. And what are the men doing? The men, in most cases, aren't helping. Like they said, the women are raising men to be codependent and whatnot. So, it is like, nah, it's a perpetual spiral backwards, keeping us divided, causing our family structure to be broken down. And we're losing our children in the process. We can't afford to lose our children, family. We can't afford to. Um, hey, good night, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, blessings everyone. I have been tuned in for a minute now, and obviously everyone will have a different energy, different experience
Mm,
because everyone's journey is different.
mm,
From my view
mm,
personally,
mm,
as a single mom of three teenagers, daughter and two sons in that order, for me personally is overwhelming at times to raise the next upcoming generation. But from my view, once we don't continue the cycle of, I always say, don't raise our children. Well, for me personally, I promise myself not to raise my children the way I was raised because this is a totally different generation. No, from my personal experiences, I don't want, or any mother don't want their offspring to come up in the same way, especially if they've been through
that's right.
trauma
True.
or anything like that.
True.
They don't want that same thing for their children, so they try their utmost best to guide them on a better path. No, like I said, a daughter and two sons. For my boys, my youngest is almost 14, and from primary school stages, for all of them, from primary school stages, are probably even a little bit tinier, as young as they could comprehend or understand basics, they were taught how to do things. So as they got older, especially for the boys, don't depend on no female to constantly do for you. Now, them being teenagers now, I don't have to be as the people down in the skin to do chores, for
Mhm.
example. They're able to do basics. So now they're not 100% dependent on mommy to do all the time. If I tired from work or whatever, I could come home and expect certain things done because it's in them now.
Well,
No, it hurts my heart. I think it was the last caller.
mhm.
I've seen this before, not for me personally, people who were abused and their parent swept it under the rug for financial gain. It's traumatizing for anyone to just imagine it. It will be traumatizing. Especially we as women, not you, but we as women, we need, and I emphasize on the need, we need that support for foundation building, I call it.
Agree.
Because if we don't have the listening ear and support that we need to help nurture us, we will forever, carry that on through life and be miserable. I think it was the first caller. I think, from my view, because I have parents who are not Barbadian, their solution. So obviously their cultural upcoming is different from the Bajan upbringing. So the two fused together could collide. But from my view now as a Barbadian born here,
Hmm.
well, not Barbadian, but you know what I mean, born here. So my upbringing obviously will be different. From what I have learned as a child coming up, or seen as a child coming up, is most parents in that era,
Mhm.
they're not really allow the boys to do as much as we um, teach our boys to do today. I mean, in my household, I have taught them things from, like I said, a very young age. And as they come up, they would know to do for themselves and not depend on whoever. They could do on their own.
So that they don't have to
Or not,
depend on any, and like you said, so they don't have to
no, they don't
depend.
have to be, no, they don't. They could do for themselves, even
Right,
if it's something as simple as mac and cheese. This drawing reference.
right, right,
Something
right.
as simple as picking up a broom and, oh, the towels feel dusty. Let me sweep this here before
Nice,
mommy come home
nice.
and make myself feel comfortable.
Responsible.
Is the upbringing,
Wonderful.
responsibility.
Yeah.
So it hurt in my heart to really reflect on the last caller, because I have a family member who went through something similar, not money exchange, but she was raped by more than 3 individuals at a time. And seeing her coming up, seeing her, I mean, as a child, seeing her attitude change during the years is growth. And I always say, in these times, we can have a conversation that's nurturing compared to when I was younger. She was always so, like, in her own cocoon, like reserved to herself.
Mhm.
And from us nurturing her, because my family is made up mostly of women, very few men. So I find as the women came together and kept nurturing her, and I seen this happen as like a in primary school stage. In that time frame coming up till now, I'm in my 40s, and she is a warrior
Mhm.
because of it.
Mhm.
So once we could
Nurturing.
come together and,
That
yes, and help nurture
nurture.
this,
Yeah.
that individual would flourish in ways
Nice.
that will even amaze them.
Nice.
So just let the women know that we have to come together and keep together and keep nurturing and keep
Indeed.
flourishing each other,
Indeed.
and we will
Indeed.
see beautiful results.
Indeed. Indeed. Thank you for sharing those thoughts, sister. Thanks for sharing with
You're
us.
welcome.
Yes.
Guidance, everyone.
That's wonderful. Thanks. Yes. Nurturing each other. I think that most of us will agree on that same thought. Helping each other. Good night, Andrea. You're live with us, politically incorrect. Welcome to the family.
Hi, good night, family.
Good
You can
night.
hear me well?
Wonderful, loud and clear.
Yes, wonderful. Well, I don't want to be repetitive, but yes, if you had to put a bunch of women in a group together
Mhm.
to really have them express their feelings, unfortunately, sadly, most of them were sexually abused. Everybody hasn't been, but there are a large number who has been. And with the caller's expression of what she went through and how it was dealt with, it wasn't really dealt with. And it gets swept under the carpet as is being repeated all the time. And as you get older, people have the mindset, oh, well, the things that happen as you're a child, you can get over it. You're big, you're grown, you should know better. No, you get stuck where you're hurt.
Mhm.
And most people are walking around stuck in a loop of hurt, and hurt people. And men are also hurt, and men don't really have an example. There are some lucky men out there who had a wonderful role model to follow, but if you check it, most men don't have a role model. Women are expected to be both men and women in the situation with raising children. And it's hard, it's tiring. I have 3 of my own, and I can tell you that it was a journey, and a very, very rough journey. And you feel tired, you feel defeated, and depending also on the job you have,
Mhm.
even your bosses are not understanding. You have children, your children get sick. Sometimes you might have to leave work suddenly, and your boss gives you grief. And then you're stressed about that. Then the baby daddies are not around, or they're not pulling their weight. And all that it does make you angry. You don't want to be walking around angry, but you are angry because you're not getting the support. Everybody doesn't have an extended family. Everybody doesn't have a support system. And you don't get time to heal from anything you went through as a child when you have children to focus on, job to focus on, life. So I can repeat everything everybody said, but until we heal from whatever broke us as children, we will always see the problems in society constantly, because there are a lot of hurt people walking around hurting not only themselves but others. And then you have natural manipulators because of the trauma they went through. You end up with narcissists,
Hmm.
people who manipulate people, so
Wow.
it's a vicious cycle that we need to heal. And it's a hard journey, it is, because you have to face all those demons that created the problems in the first place. But if we can get to that position where you can find like-minded people and you can open up, you can get the healing, you can get professional help, whatever you need to heal, things will come around slowly, but we have to heal. And that is where we're stuck, in that loop of constant trauma that has never been resolved. And
I,
that's just my take on it.
I think what you said is very profound, especially we talked about hurt people hurting people. And I go a little step further and I'll say that, like I said, women have a innate psychological hidden hatred towards black men. And that goes back to the incident or incidences of trauma that would have occurred at the hands of said black man. So then
Mhm.
everything is filtered through that particular lens. And here's a problem with that. If women in the society are ill, then do we have a healthy society? Is a
No, we
question.
don't. No, we don't.
Then so if the women are ill, psychologically hurt, traumatized, and really going through they own pain internally, and that reflects in the hurt in the society, the damage in the society, the children are watching. So does that equate to damaged children in our society as well?
Of course it does, because you unwittingly, unknowingly pass on your defense mechanism traits to your child. For example, you're hurt by your partner, and they will have some, either or, because it happens on both sides, men and women, that just berate the other person and always putting bad images in the children's head towards the other. So it isn't far-fetched to say that the child will go up thinking, oh well, men in much use or women in the good, and actions go accordingly. So it becomes difficult because you're frustrated and your partner or your children's father did something and you react to it, and you happen to react to it in front of the children. They're seeing that children are not stupid, they just probably can't express or not allowed to express. And then also, I'm not against punishment, but beating a child for every single thing. I watch children would be so timid to their parents, to touch their parents in town, to maybe ask a question,
Mm.
and the hollering and the screaming and the shut up your mouth and
Yep. Yep.
less noise and all that. All of that is trauma.
Yep.
That's verbal abuse. You understand? And yes, parents are frustrated. Sometimes these children do things to drive you nuts. I know. I had 3. But what I'm saying is that children are not able to express themselves. So if something does happen, who do they turn to? Who can they confide in? If they can't confide in mommy or they can't confide in daddy, then they go searching. If daddy's not there, little girls go searching for that father figure. Although we will tend to say, oh, nobody's studying that. But really and truly, if you're honest with yourself, if you haven't had a good relationship with your dad, there are certain traits you end up seeking after that ends up kind of, you find your dad over and over again until you heal. And
Wow.
if your dad is a good man, then you may be lucky to find a good man. But if your dad wasn't a good man, he didn't treat you well, all the things that come with that, you have a need. Sometimes people go as far as the hatred aspect, and then some just keep searching. And you find people are from relationship to relationship. You're searching, looking for that thing that you never had as a child. And that goes back to healing again. And all of that comes down to healing. It's a repetitive word, but yes, we all have to heal because we're all traumatized. And yes, slavery and that line coming down did, because you didn't ever have a chance to really heal. Society and the systems in place never make it possible. Yes, they have psychologists and all of that. But where do you find the time? You have to make the time, but sometimes it's not even feasible.
True.
You understand?
Or trusting them to even be able to open up to the level where you want to be vulnerable.
Exactly. You understand? So it is big. It's a big topic, and but healing is the, I think for me, the number one factor where once you can find that group, that person, someone that you can confide in that's genuine, which is sometimes very hard to find genuine people, but
Mhm.
the fade group, but so you can, you find someone, reach out somewhere, there's someone
Yeah, reach out.
somewhere,
Wow.
and start the healing process. And we'll get there. It's going to be slow, and because everybody's on a different journey, and it will take everybody an individual pace at which they can handle.
Mhm.
But we will get there. But we have to heal, and
Right.
we can heal together. We can heal together, and make in the same way hurt people, heal people can heal people,
That's right. That's right.
and take
Powerful.
that trauma and that experience of all that pain, and the same way it can go as negative, why not make it positive? And we'll get there. We'll get there.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I thank you for calling. Thank you for
And
sharing
thank
with
you
us.
too. And
Yeah.
have a good night, all.
Good night to you too. Yeah, that was powerful. That was powerful. That was powerful. I want to thank the sisters for sharing as well. I have another caller here on the line. Welcome to Politically Incorrect. You're live. Good night.
Hey, good night.
Hey, good night. Good night. What's your
Hey,
thoughts on
Divine
this?
Goddess here.
Greetings, Divine Goddess.
How are you?
Well, me, I'm feeling overwhelmed at this point, to be very honest with you. I'm here fighting back my own emotions. There's a lot to take in and to hear.
Yeah,
And, so it's being received in good faith. Yes. How are you?
good, good. I am wonderful. I'm glad that the conversation is going this way, because I know with a tagline like this, a lot of people were expecting something totally different. So I'm happy that it's being addressed this way. So I'm gonna touch on a few things. Some people already did mention it, a few of the things, but I still think that I'm gonna share what I have here. So one of the things that's lacking, I don't want to use the word problem, but one of the things that's lacking is self-love. And when we hear the term self-love, a lot of people think, oh, let me go get a pedicure, or let me
Mhm.
go get a facial, let me go get mine and get my hair done, buy some clothes. They think of the they think of the material aspect of self-love,
Mhm.
but it's more spiritual for me. It's a lot deeper than just getting your toes painted.
Mhm.
You know, not understanding our worth in a lot of cases too.
Mhm.
We misinterpret love, especially how it should be received from others. That's
Mhm.
one thing.
Tell us
The
about
second,
that.
what how we
Misinterpreting
don't
how we receive
misinterpret
it.
love,
Yeah.
especially how it should be received.
Yeah.
Okay, so that goes into sometimes low self-esteem.
Mhm.
So if we have low self-esteem, or if a sister has low self-esteem and she doesn't understand that a man is not supposed to hit her, she thinks that that's love, she's gonna keep accepting that. That's a misinterpretation.
Mhm.
That's a
Mhm.
misinterpretation. And there are many examples of that. I mean, even verbal abuse. One
Mhm.
minute you be cussing your partner, today he be cussing you out, and then 5 minutes later, 2 minutes later, he be saying, "Oh, I love you so much." And because of the low self-esteem, because we don't understand our worth,
Mhm.
we accept that and we think, well, I can't do any better. He says he loves me, and the cycle continues. That's one thing. Um, Another thing too is lack of femininity.
Mhm.
Lack of femininity.
Lack of
And
femininity. What's that?
lack lack of femininity. A lot of women do think they're feminine, and they're looking at it from the material light. They're not looking at it internally. Um, a lot of women have had to build up certain characteristics to sustain ourselves, and sometimes in a single parent home.
Mm-hmm.
We begin to have a lot less of our divine softness, our divine nurturing, our divine sense of self, our divine emotions and expressions. It gets hard and really tiring because we're not acting in our true divine sense. That's why we feel the way we feel, because we're not we're not engaging that femininity that we should naturally have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, acting in women acting in their masculinity dominantly because they've had to be in survival mode. The family structure is missing, you
Right.
know.
So
The
you're saying
system,
because the family is has been broken down to some degree, that women had to step up and function as males because the males were missing.
exactly. Exactly that. That's why you have a lot of women saying, I don't need a man, because they think that they do the job of a man better than a man could, not understanding that they don't even understand what it is to be a man. And they have forgotten how to be a woman.
Mm.
So it's all the way messed up.
So you're
And I'm
saying
a,
so let me answer this question. Let me just go a little deeper here then. So you're saying that a lot of our sisters are functioning in masculinity, and therefore when the black man meets a sister functioning in her masculinity, they have this Locky Horn male ego thing going on because for him, I'm the man in here, but you acting like you the man in here, and that can't work for me. And so I don't want to be in this house. So I'm abandoning the house. I'm abandoning you and the children because it can't be two men under the same roof. You think that's a factor?
that is a not just a factor, that is a fact. And
Wow.
the thing is, a lot of women don't even want to admit that. You know, I'm going to take it a little further and we can jump right into the ego.
Mm.
We can jump right into the ego. The ego also plays a big part in that too. And I mean, like I said, that dominant masculinity, that's no joke. No joke. Rosemary is saying gender roles. It's true. The system has turned it upside down. You're making women think that they're supposed to be men, and that's a huge problem.
Like that Steve Harvey book.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
Let me ask you
Oh,
a question. Go
wait,
ahead.
hold on, Emmanuel. So this is Divine Goddess times 7. I have
Okay.
my big sister Jojo 7 here with me,
Okay.
listening to this podcast as well. Go
Greetings.
great, yes, greatest. Go ahead, ask your question.
I mean, me. Well. My question a
At
bit
you.
more. Yeah. Okay. Well, is this why that some black men tend to drift and get involved with white women, seeing as how white women tend to be a lot more submissive
Submissive.
as opposed to operating their masculinity? They operate as passive aggressors because, more often than not, most relationships in some cases don't really last. They end up going back to a white man in some cases. Not saying all. I'm just saying, is this one of the reasons why black men end up going for a white woman?
It is possible. It is highly possible. I can't speak for the white women because I myself am not one. Um, but based on what I've seen and what I've heard, white women are usually more submissive for whatever reasons. I don't know what traumas they have been through, but black men are literally, and I say this with no apology, at the top of the quote unquote food chain. And they want to express themselves in their true masculinity. They don't want to be challenged. They should not have to be challenged.
Hmm.
Women don't have to challenge masculinity because we are femininity. It's
Hmm.
a balance. It's supposed to be a perfect balance. There is no competition.
Wonderful.
So a
Yeah.
black man will seek out that white woman because he thinks that is his balance because of the characteristics that she may portray.
Well, the unfortunate part is that, and I don't know what the culture, but for what little I have read, white women have never really been respected the way black men have respected their women from a historic perspective. So the white woman is used to the white male treating her a particular way. So when the black man gets with a white woman and starts to worship and praise her, she might see that as weakness, dominate this meal, have the height, have the child, take half the money and bounce. You see a lot of men who make it successfully in industries, whether
Yeah.
sport, entertainment, or whatever. They tend to always seemingly end up with a white woman, and they'll have a
Yeah.
child or two, and then they like suddenly diss the man and take him to the bank and bounce. Why?
Yeah.
Because they start to worship these women like they hired and whatever. White women ain't used to that. That's not their culture. I mean, that's just not their culture. That's African culture where we the only people that honored our sisters, we honored our women, we allow women to have a say in running and ruling things. Europeans never had that. So why is it now that we can't restore that ability? Like you look at Egypt, look at the statues in Egypt, you'll see that the woman is always next to the man, and she usually has her hand guiding him, holding him, supporting him,
Mm-hmm.
while he is the one stepping forward.
They like this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know what? You didn't. I don't have to add to what you said. That part, you hit the nail on the head. I don't have to add to that part. I totally agree. There is something too that I will say. You know, I was speaking about the family structure that is missing. And I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone in this community would know when we
Mhm.
say they took the men, they made the women dependent on the system and control the children.
Facts.
Now, this domino effect does affect the mentality and the mindset of the woman. Mentality referring to the actual thoughts that a person has, while the mindset refers to the way that a person interprets and reacts to those thoughts. So if we're going to really pick this down, we got to see what mentality our women have right now and where the mindset is. And we already established that she's operating from a masculine mindset. So we got to fix that. And there is one thing that I can suggest as a solution. You know, I hearing a lot of weeds this and weeds that, but I hear no solutions. I want to hear some solutions. I'm gonna start the ball rolling with one,
Go ahead.
and that is shadow work. That is, well, no, let me not do that. I'm gonna say shadow work.
Mhm.
I heard Andrea say she called something. She said demons. Recognizing the so-called demons that keep us in a certain mind space. We gotta recognize those demons, face them. Honesty. Being truly honest with ourselves is the key to
Mhm.
healing. I'm
Mhm.
going to tell that again for the
Yeah.
ones in the back.
Yeah.
Honesty, being truly honest with ourselves is the key to healing. Addressing those issues within us consciously and actively working on getting rid of them. Working on getting rid of certain actions that we may subject other people to. The healing can begin there. And I'm going to give you just one example of how you can practice shadow work. Identify something about yourself that
Mhm.
you do not like. I'm going to use my example of rudeness. I always used to be told I am rude, and I could never admit it because to me, I was not being rude. I was just being me,
Expressing yourself.
expressing myself. But one day I decided to actively practice shadow work. Um, and I messaged my cousin and I asked her, "Hey, why was your dog barking all night?" She said, "I ain't got a dog. My dog dead." And I'm like, why is she getting on like that? Was she very rude? And I said, wait, hold on. Let me check myself. Was she
Right.
actually being rude or was she just stating facts? Because it was over text anyway.
Right.
So I didn't even hear her tone, but I was ready to say she being rude and I was getting ready to be angry too. But then I said, hold on, divine, hold on, goddess, hold on. Is she actually being rude or is that just me? So I saw myself in her and I was able to check myself. And I have since then healed that part of me because I became conscious of that part of me.
Mhm.
And you can exercise that with everything about you that lies within your shadow that you don't understand or you don't recognize. I'm gonna just say another part of it. Your shadow is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the part of you that you don't present to the world openly. It's the part of you that you restrict because you think you're going to be judged for it. So
True. True.
saying shadow self doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It's just what you withhold. That's why it's called a shadow,
Mhm.
you know?
I like that. I like that. I like that.
Right.
I like what you said also, solutions. And I think most people echo the same thing, which was that H word, healing. And although it sounds very simple, healing requires that you just
Oh shoot, Emmanuel is gone. Okay, well, until he comes back, I'm just gonna finish what I was saying. Um, once you once you address those certain parts of yourself, you can get through healing. Period. You can get through healing all the way. Once you do this with all the aspects of those things about you that you're honest about, that's how you heal, man. That's how you begin to heal. Sorry. That's how you begin. You
Let's
start there
start.
and then it,
Yeah.
it goes further. You were saying, I just decided to go on because you got cut off.
Well, no, I was going to say that Andrea said it. What you said, heal the same way hurt people, heal people, and it's a
Yeah.
process. It's not an event. They say like a switch, you can toggle it, and suddenly ta da ta da, you heal. It's a process, and going through the process is rewarding because you get to recognize the strengths you have. And you can build that inner strength, that inner character. Then you could see other people recognizing and even reach your hand out to help them cross over that bridge of hurt. I want to thank you, sis, for calling in. You, Divine Goddess, time seven. That's something to
Time
call.
seven.
Yeah,
Time
time
seven
seven.
said she has something to add just really
Yeah, go
quick.
ahead. Go ahead, time seven.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I just wanted to add some more onto the topic, because one thing that a lot of women suffer with, besides like post traumatic disorder, would be um, a result of mental illness.
Hmm.
Due to the abuse, um, uh, certain issues like depression, bipolar disorder,
Hmm.
uh, and all these things, schizophrenia. These things are due to abuse that has taken place, whether it be from childhood, even in some relationships.
Hmm.
You have some women who have been in relationships from very young, 13, 14,
Yep.
and not had the proper guidance to conduct a relationship, because they probably could not speak to their parents or anyone about it. So they just had to learn as they went along. Um, Also, denial comes into place a lot
Hmm.
with
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
lot of women. They know what is going on with the man, they know what is in their relationship, they know that the person that they're with is he could not be right for them.
Hmm.
Sometimes I've heard situations where someone who wants to be another person's mate tell them, "Listen, I'm not for you. This wouldn't work, and I'm not ready yet." And still, a lot of women unfortunately will try to change the person, um, try to make them into something they're not, try to make them ready, and that's denial. You can't do that. A person has to
Agreed.
be ready on their own time, and then what happens is when they realize they're not getting what they want, and they're dropping boundaries and allowing these people to just basically, play with their heart and their emotions. And then they become upset, they become angry, they become distraught, mentally ill, things like that. So denial plays a big part in the situation, and also mental illness. I really do think that because I've literally heard of women losing their minds,
Yeah.
due
Yeah.
to dysfunctional and toxic relationships. I've lost a sister due to a toxic and dysfunctional relationship. She drank herself to death because of the treatment that she was putting up with. I would say receiving, but also putting up with. Because she did put up with it, and all her boundaries were gone, and now, her children and grandchildren are left, without her, and it's been really rough.
Hmm.
So that's definitely one thing, two things that need to be looked into. So I do believe that therapy is very helpful. Yeah, solutions. therapy, even spiritual work. Sometimes, you got to listen to spirit or messages from spirit through others that will help you to move forward in a situation, and tell yourself, okay, this is not working, maybe I have to step back, maybe I have to detach. And you have to listen to those things, and we don't always listen to those things, and we try to,
Mhm,
force it.
mhm,
And it can't be that way. When you could tell when a woman is forcing a relationship or a situation, because they can become aggressive, they can become
mhm,
angry. You're wondering why, when you go to work with them in the morning when they're at work, why are they so angry? It's because their mate didn't come home last night, they didn't know what's going on, they're angry with their mate. And it trickles down. So
mhm, mhm.
it's a thing where we have to really take accountability for ourselves, and how we play, what part we play in a relationship, and if it's really something that's affecting us, and how the relationship is affecting us. Because a lot
Mhm.
of times, if it's affecting you negatively, you have to do something about it to change it, or else it's just going to get worse. And your psyche and your energies are going to get worse, you
I,
know?
I totally agree with you 1000%. I like the fact that you brought up that other controversial topic that is uncomfortable, that is the mental illness, mental
Mm-hmm.
issues, and trauma is such a thing where it is like a
Mm-hmm.
seed. Well, it is a seed, and what it can do is,
Mm-hmm.
it can either grow fast, it could grow slow, but it will grow, and it
Mm-hmm.
can trigger so many different things in the human being, depending on where they are emotionally,
It's true.
with their esteem and their confidence level. But the truth is, it can also break them. I mean, you're right. I've seen people go into depression, states of depression, become hooked on drugs, become hooked on
Mm-hmm.
alcohol, hooked on making bad decisions with in regards to relationship or the type of partner they choose. And again, I'm saying women tonight, but the reality, this goes both ways. As a matter of
Mm-hmm.
fact, the conversation about what's the problem with the men in Barbados, that's going to be very different,
I
because
can't wait for that.
I'm telling you right now,
I can't wait for
you
that.
you got a lot of men that operate with their femininity, you know, and that's a whole other conversation. I mean, they be acting like they more women than the women, and they're
So
not even gay. And that's not the point at any culture or any person that is in that particular bracket, whatever that bracket is. My point is that there's a need for healing, man, and we got to be honest about it. This is not nothing personal.
Honesty.
I'm not attacking anyone. I don't desire to attack anyone. Um, so don't look at it like that. It is, let's learn from each other. So that's the bottom line. That is the bottom line. That is just the bottom line. It's about helping each other to identify with areas in our life that we need improvement on in order to grow. Like the ultimate outcome, what we should be desiring the most as after all of this is the ability to heal to the point where we can restore the family. Because once we restore the family, we can start to move forward. So let's start with the healing of self, looking into self, working on self, being honest with self, and therefore we can then be honest and help anybody else outside the self. Sis, I want to thank you both for calling in and sharing. Much, much, much appreciated. And
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
Emmanuel. Divine
Now,
Goddess.
thank you.
yeah, give thanks, give thanks, give thanks. Oh man, this is breathtaking. This is intense. I feel like I'm levitating. I feel like I'm floating right here in the studio, like I'm just hovering above the chair. Like, yo, this is Jackie. It's on fire tonight. And family, like I said, I just want to say that, I thank everyone for tuning in, calling in, sharing their own personal experiences live. I want to thank those who are now watching this after the fact. Shout out to Brittany. I see you. I ain't forget you. Welcome. And listen, this is, man, to be continued. I think that's really the only thing we could say at this point is to be continued. Um, yeah, I think that's it. All we can say at this point is to be continued. You know, ugh, I mean, I think all women have gone through so much, like I said, that we don't realize how past events that have been swept under the rug And sometimes knowing by the parents that the mother might have done it, even that idea, know your mother allowed this to happen to you, and you got to grow up and face your mother and deal with your mother. Then you become a mother and your own children. It's like, what you want me to do about it? I went through it and I get through all right. That's another thing too. People always telling me, because I don't lash my children. I never lash my children. I don't believe in lashes, and so, or flogging, or whatever they call it, corporal punishment, whatever they call it, corporal punishment. That's the word alone. But think about it. We all get licks when we was young and we turn out all right. I tell people, nah, you think you all right. That's the problem. You not all right. You functioning in your dysfunctioning state is crazy. But we justify trauma, we justify the abuse, we normalize it, and we try to coexist with it as if it is the standard. It's the plantation, man. It's the plantation mindset. It's the plantation mentality. The brother said we can't blame slavery. The truth is we can, because this is still slavery. All they did was rebrand slavery. It's like Kentucky Fried Chicken becoming KFC. What really changed? Tell me. It used to be Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now it became KFC. But somebody please tell me what changed other than the name. Anyhow, family, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. And yeah. Any last callers? Any last thoughts? Any last suggestions on healing? The lines are open. The number is on your screen, 246 area code 838-8253 on WhatsApp, or the link to the program is in the bio, is in the bio, is in the comments. If you want to come on in the studio, I'll put the link up again really quick. Anybody want to call in, and the link is right there on your screen. Politically incorrect. This is StreamYard. It's a virtual studio. It works better with Chrome browser if you're coming into the studio, and there's one for YouTube as well. Thanks to those tuning in on my Facebook page. I thank you. Those on Politically Incorrect page and those on Politically Incorrect YouTube channel, I give thanks to everybody who commented, responded, and started this. It's all in the DNA. That genetic hurt. You're right. And also genetic healing is also in the DNA. Let's tap in, family. Yeah. We breaking generation curses. Yeah, over here for sure. Breaking it. Start the healing. Real thing, man. I give thanks. Somebody said verbal abuse as a child is worse than lashes. Listen to me. I telling you. And everywhere I go, I see it. Whether you go downtown, you go in the mall, toy stores, and the child, yes, I know they touch stuff. They could break it. It could cost you money. Yes, I get it. You ever notice white children in a supermarket or anywhere they go with their parents? They be running up and down, left and right, almost seemingly doing whatever they like. Parents just whistling Dixie like, Billy, and can get over here. I know. And you go in the mall, at the bank, or the toy store with your, the African youths, the black youths. You put that down. You get over here. Wait till I get home. And it's like, yo. Yeah, it's wild, man. It's wild. I once watched a child cry herself to frenzy where snot is just running all over her face. Not because she did anything. She was actually on the way home, walking home. But while she was walking home, she ran into a teacher. Well, she walked into a teacher because she was walking home. You get it? And the teacher basically told her, we're having a test tomorrow. And if you fail that test, I'm going to flog you. And just those words alone, just those words alone was sufficient to cause that child so much trauma. She stood on the spot and just started bawling. I have a caller right here. Good night, caller. You're on the air.
Good night to you, sir.
Good night.
How are you?
Oh, I'm thankful. And you?
I am blessed and thankful. God is good.
Wonderful. Amen. Yes. What's your thoughts on this conversation?
I had just tuned in a short while ago. I was listening very intently to the callers and to your comments. You have an intriguing topic. What is wrong? What is the topic again? Could you tell me what it is? What is wrong? I just saw it briefly.
What is the problem with women in Barbados?
What is the problem with women in Barbados? Interesting topic. We could even go a little way to what is wrong with the women of the world, because I believe that most of them has the same problem.
Yes.
And these are just views. Interesting, yeah. It has been very, very interesting, and I always like discussions like these. The problem I see basically is that we have forgotten, men and women, what our roles are and what our roles are supposed to be. Unfortunately for women in Barbados, the treatment that we receive as females is very bad. Let me explain.
Okay.
Sometimes, unfortunately, Bajan men sees women not as people, but as property. So let me explain. You have a man and a woman in a relationship, and we see it on a daily basis. If the two cannot coexist together in the relationship, what happens is that you find that the man decides, if I cannot get her, nobody can. And these are things that people are not addressing. So therefore, what he does, he behaves as if she's a piece of property. I mean, you hear men talk, is always about, I invest so much in this woman, I give this woman so much, she belongs to me. We need to understand that a woman is not the property of any man, nor is the man the property of any woman.
Agreed.
We must realize what our roles are, and that is why we have children that are suffering, because one, when a girl sees the way her father or a man treats a woman, she believes that that is the correct way that she should be treated. They learn from what they see. We want children to learn from what we teach them, but children cannot learn from what we teach them alone. They learn from what they see, and that is something that we do not address. I have a serious problem with Bajan men and men in general, because I think sometimes they think that we are still in the slavery days, where a woman is just decide to take orders. I am the man. I say this. I am the king. I am the priest of the home. I don't have a problem with that, mind you. But you want the woman to be subservient to you. I heard a word submissive mentioned tonight. I do not have a problem with submissive, but here's the problem, sir. People's interpretation of submission is not submission. It is being subservient.
Wow.
So therefore, a man has the right to treat a woman as he likes, because she is a woman. But a woman was taken out of man, and we must realize that God is no respecter of persons, and a woman should be loved and appreciated and treated with dignity from the male sex. What are we having happening? They're being beaten, tossed about. You want women to stay at home, have 15 and 16 children, have no say. You do what I say as if she's a little child. And then we're asking, what is wrong with the Barbadian? What are wrong with Bajan women? They're not being treated as they're treated, unfortunately. And I have a serious problem with that. Men need to understand that both men and women were created in the image of God. And we are like we women expect to be treated with respect. We also need to treat men with respect. But unfortunately, for many years, I've seen it growing up. I see it in the past, and I see it now. I even see it in churches where women are supposed to be subservient. And like I said before, we are supposed to I am the man. I am the head of the home. I don't have a problem with that. But
It is not the kind of the head of the home that God has set out. You will do what I say, when I say, how I say, when I say, and then when it comes times at night for bedroom, you will do what I say again, when I say, how many times I want, etc.
Wow.
Women deserve respect.
Wow, I agree.
Women deserve to understand that we are people. My question to women tonight is, what is your worth? How do you see yourself? Do you believe that you are important? Do you believe that you are special? Do you believe that you were created by God? Do you believe that there's not another woman in this world like you? My question again, how do you see yourself? What is your worth? You have to understand that you must worth something. So it comes from women. That's why women are mistreated. Men like to keep them pressed down. They don't want them to have a job because they want it to depend on them. So that what I say goes, it keeps us segregated from other women because you do not want them to be able to express themselves. I say to women in Barbados and in the entire world, you must know your worth. You must understand who you are, and you must be what God created you to be. Beautiful. Beautiful. Women are beautiful creatures.
Indeed,
and that's
indeed.
how God created. Not stomped down by a man, not to be told, not to be treated like a child. Our voices must be heard. And it's time that women rise up and understand what their worth is. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Can I ask you a question before you go, caller? You there? She's gone. Wow, sis, I want to thank you for calling in. You shared a mighty message. Very mighty. I was hoping you would stay on. I wanted to ask you a question. If you are involved in a relationship, and now explain to us, how successful that has gone with us. Oh wait, I think she's calling. Let me see. Hi. Yes, thanks for calling forward. Yes, thank you for sharing. That was mighty. I wanted to ask you a question. Are you in a relationship?
Not at the moment. Let me say that I have been married for 25 years.
Right.
Right. I have been married for 25 years. I'm currently separated.
Would you like counsel to reconcile things?
If I have been counsel?
No, would you like counsel to reconcile things?
Oh no, sir.
Oh, you're ready.
Sir.
You're ready to close that chapter.
Let me say this. I shouldn't already say that. Let me say that. At the same time, I believe in marriage. I believe that marriage was created by God. But understand, here's another problem that women don't understand. And they have been taught this from in the past. They believe that you must stay everything that is dished out in a marriage, and there's nothing wrong with that. I used to think that way. But I believe that women have been too much conditioned to believe that is correct. A marriage can only work between a man and a woman when each understand one another. When there's a breakdown, you must know when it's time to either separate or if you want to take it further. Because here is where, unfortunately, many women have lost their lives because they lot of red flags and they either ignore them or they don't see them. For me, I saw blankets. I didn't see flags, right?
Wow.
I could avoid the red flags, but then the red flags became blankets. So I was not going to stay in a relationship where I saw blankets, because that is foolhardy.
True.
You must exercise wisdom, right?
True.
And common sense. And I always tell people there is a fine line between faith and foolishness. So as far as I'm concerned, if me and somebody else cannot, let me put it in Beijing, if me and you cannot do, sweetheart, you go your way, and
Right.
let me go mine. And I'm
Wonderful.
fine with that.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us, sis. Really do appreciate your comments tonight. I want to elaborate on one part what you said, and that was the relationship in terms of if you can't get along, and being submissive. You know, the Bible, and again, I don't plan on sounding religious here, but I said it to say that there's a verse that says, you know, woman submit to your husband as Christ submitted to the church. And you know, there's other verse that say, husband respect your wives. You know, but
It actually says husband. It's actually says not. It actually says the verse actually says, and that's the only verse. The Bible never commands a woman to love her husband. It tells the woman to be submissive, but the Bible commands a man to love his wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it.
That's right.
Sir, I would not want to be a man.
I agree, because that's where I'm going, because you see that's where I'm going, because you see, one of the things we have to be also honest about, if we are going to be truly honest, and that is men and women are different. Our mechanisms are different. We think different. We have been conditioned different. Like the sister said earlier, you know, she get to go in the house and clean. The guys get to run around outside. There's a lot of conditioning that we have been conditioned that we need to uncondition in order to be conditionally in love with each other unconditionally. I hope you got that. If not, rewind. My point, though, is that because we are so different, one of the things we don't recognize is that women are looking for love in a man, but men are looking for respect in a woman. So the minute a man feels disrespected, whether she raise her voice, she want to talk down to you in front of people, make you feel less than a man, emasculate you, and this kind of stuff, men automatically go and just shut off. And I agree with you that it isn't a Barbados thing. I just use Barbados because that's where I'm from. That's where I'm at. And I'm just what I'm seeing firsthand. But you're correct. This is probably a universal, a global thing. But in Barbados, you're right. Perhaps, you know, men being conditioned and raised a certain way. Listen to the music. They call it soca. They call it kaiso. But listen to the lyrics. They call it, you know, dance hall, you know, and rap. Listen to the music. You know, for the most part, men are conditioned to be disrespectful towards their own women. That's a fact. The music promotes it. The radio station plays it repeatedly. The children learn it. They repeat it. Women go out with men in the weekends. They dance to it. They okay with it. And my thing is, then we can't play holier than thou and want the society or want your man or your wife to function on the level of royalty and divinity, when the reality is the society has put us in a place of immorality and we don't know ahead from tail. And on top of that, we have generational trauma. Oh God, from childhood in some cases to compound the problem. There's a degree, and you said it best in terms of being made in the image of God. And I love when you said that. When we start to recognize our divinity, our divine calling as a people, as the children of the Most High, and we start to acknowledge God in self. I see God in you, and you see God in me. Not saying that you're worshiping the man as God, but as a creation of God, which is a reflection of God himself. Then we start to deal with each other very differently. We start to look at ways to heal. And it's okay, like you said, to reach a point where, you know what, honey, I don't want this experience with you anymore. I want to try something different. I want to move on to something different. I want to be by myself for a while. I want to embark on something, a change. It's okay, because I don't stop loving you because we part ways. I've grown to be in a different space, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically in some cases. And that's like you said, it annoys, you know, the fighting, the pelting, the rocks, one kill one another. So I agree, but we have to be mature enough in our own healing to be able to do these things. Because if you don't do these things that you said, we go from seeing red flags to blinders to blankets, where we pretend that it don't happen when we know full well what's going on. And like that lady said earlier, the caller, her mother tried to negotiate somewhere and it was swept under the rug. But what wasn't swept under the rug was the trauma she had to carry her whole life. And tonight, for the first time, she found the courage to speak on it. And man, oh man, I mean, like I said, let's just have a conversation. Let's find ways to heal each other. Let's find ways to help each other, because in so doing, we could heal and move forward. So I really thank you for sharing your perspective, and also for sharing your situation with your well, the husband after 25 years that y'all are now separated, and you have decided that you know what, you want to stay separated. Yeah, yeah. I know I got cut off there for the last minute, but the sister said thanks. I was telling her, we thank her for calling and sharing her experience with us, and we also will her, success in her healing. And she had told us thanks, and she'd be part of it at that point. Wow, this has been so amazing. For me, especially as a man, all I could say is thanks for everyone who make this possible, who allow us to grow together. I think that's what's important. And all we can do is love each other, man. Just love each other, love each other, love each other. You know, think I want to. I think I think it's only right that I got to play this tune right here. It's only right. I could not do this. I could not do this. They said that's a double negative, so that something like that. I don't know. Anyhow, this is a joint I'm playing. Full stop. That's just it. You know, some of y'all might know it. Some of y'all might not know it. But this is one of our very own. Thanks for calling in tonight, family. Thanks for making this a reality. Thanks for sharing emotionally, spiritually. Yeah.
Open my
We thank you,
eyes
family. We thank you. We thank
to
you.
things I've never seen. You open my heart.
Yeah. Jackie,
To love.
we thank
You
you.
woke up my soul.
Time to heal, family. Let's
To
heal each
feelings
other,
I've
man.
never knew.
We
You
both
showed
went
me
through trauma.
love.
Let's stop fighting and pointing
You
fingers.
showed me peace.
Let's find that inner peace, family.
My life is now an open book. I see and I hear the truth. My past became memories of joy.
Jackie.
The pain I felt I now forget. The mysteries are oh so clear. My fantasies I can make real. The magic I feel within me. Now everyone can see. You open my eyes to things I've never seen. You open my heart to love. You open my soul to feelings I've never knew. You showed me love. You showed me peace. I want to share it all with you. I want to be that one, the one that is true. Let me shout out your name from the top of the highest mountain, proclaiming my love for you. You open my eyes to things I've never seen. You open my heart.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
To love. You open my soul to feelings I've never knew. You showed me love. You showed me peace.
Yes.
This love is all I've
Divine
ever
love, family. Divine love, divine love,
wanted.
divine love, man. Divine love.
No explaining the feelings it brings. We made no promises,
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Open my eyes to things I've never seen. You open my heart to love. You open my soul to feelings I've never knew. You showed me love. You showed me peace.
It would be you to think like that, man. I know you can't help yourself, man. It's all love, man. Jackie, Jackie, Jackie. Live and direct, man. Yes, Jackie, thanks for joining us live and direct. Yes.
Oh man, you did that.
Yeah, I did that. I did that.
Greetings, family.
That's what men do. That's what men do. That's what men do, man. We see it
That's
ahead of
what
time.
we are made to be. The balance, of course.
Wonderful, wonderful. Give us your thoughts on tonight before we close
Ah,
out.
it
Give us
was
a
on
word.
fire. It was on fire.
Wonderful.
Woo! You know, I never realized my song said all of that until tonight. That is crazy. What?
Yeah.
My whole, yeah, it been all of that. Everything is like when you get to that place, I don't know who's watching me, who's seeing me, but everything you're seeing is who I am. It's just you have to take yourself out, you
That's
know,
right.
and put yourself back where you know you're supposed to be.
That's right.
So I don't play. What you see is what you get. Yes, sometimes I still get a little depressed and but it's been a journey.
Yeah. Yep.
Been a journey.
Yep.
Been a journey.
That's
And I know all of us are living these journeys, but wow. But
well,
yeah.
can I tell you something though? I mean, we heard a lot of sisters share tonight. By the way, family, for those who are interested in that tune, the link is in the comments, both on YouTube and Facebook. That's our very own Jackie. She's here with us live, direct in the studio. Oh man, man, oh man! You should see the comments on that song, man. Like I wanted to play a different song, but when I went to look for it, that just popped up automatically, and it's like I can't see you and overlook you. Like I can't do that. Like I can't do
That's
that. I can't do
crazy.
that. I cannot do that. That's royalty. And I ain't talking about the kind of royalties my other friend they're talking about. It's all love, man. Divine love, man. Divine love, man. I thank you. A lot of sisters shared tonight. I want to thank all and everyone that called in, that tuned in and shared, especially, the sisters that open up to their personal. And that's amazing. That's powerful. That's that's
You know,
that's
I
that's
just
powerful.
I just rename it the fade ship. I think other people should just jump on board after tonight. You just
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
jump on the ship.
Yeah.
These women, these sisters, they say not to use queens, but in my vision, I see them as queens. Somebody you need to bow down to. These women been through stuff.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And
It's what we
queen in
make.
my vocabulary is the supreme, that person. So I bow to these ladies.
You
The
see,
queen.
that's right. That's right. We honor you. We honor you. We honor you. We salute you. That's why I use that verse in terms of what Christ did. Christ was willing to die for the church, the wife, the woman, and black men. We have a duty to protect our own, and we pledge to protect our own. So, and we're here as a guardians and guides. So, like I said, a lot of us were raised with single parents, with women who were bitter, angry, and frustrated, and a lot of other stuff. And it's not their fault. So we're not here to point blame. We're here to say it's time to heal. We're here to say it's time to heal. That's all we're saying. It's time to heal, man. And that's it.
Yeah, I know many trying to heal and going through so much in this day and age. It's like, wow.
Hmm. Mm. Yeah,
But it
yeah,
is
it is.
time to heal. When you see a whole bunch of women come together and can agree and talk about the same things, it can work.
So, Jackie,
It
you're
can
beautiful
work.
outside and in.
Oh man, give thanks.
Brittany want to know the name of the song.
Oh, No Promises
No
by
promises.
Keone. Keone was given to me by a good friend. So it means the one who sees. So I'm like, oh, cars. But yeah, it's really nice
Yeah,
song.
the
So
link is in the link is in the comments, family. For those who want the song, is there. You can get it. Go cop it. Make sure you play on repeat, repeat,
I
repeat.
wrote
Don't
that
let it-
song not even knowing, it's like, you don't know until somebody else sometimes show you yourself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
indeed. Yes, yes. I give thanks, man. I think the sister from Guyana was trying to call us as well. Oh, and the other sister was trying. I see what happened. I see what happened. I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna fix that. Don't worry, we're gonna have a part two to this. We're gonna have a part two. We're gonna have a part two. Oh man, the sister from Guyana. If you're still there from the sister from Guyana, if you're still there, you can give us a call. We'll take the final call from our family over and abroad. And because, like I said, what's the problem with women in Barbados? Maybe this is a bigger issue, and like she said, it's a global issue. But if the sister from Guyana is still there, she could call in, and we'll take
But
her call to be a final call.
Emmanuel, the frequency. So when one woman out of whack, every woman is going to
All
be out
yeah,
of
I
whack.
agree. I totally
All
agree. Totally
women
agree.
are out of whack. So that is why we got to help keep that wackiness up.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree, man. But you know what? I think it's important that we focus on the healing aspect. I think this is the time that we should do so. I think this is the time we should do so. Yeah.
It is time.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I haven't heard it, so we'll close off. I have one more tune to play. I mean, I could not play this tune either. It's just the right thing to do. It's that kind of thing. And you can always guess. You can almost guess which song already, Jackie. Who you think?
I don't know. You always putting me up.
Yeah, you going
Just
to guess?
yeah.
You want to guess?
No. Just
Okay,
play.
well listen to this then. Yes.
Yes, it's a conscious time now, and people must come together with unity. And you know what? Yes, everybody and everyone have the answer. Everyone have the answer.
Everyone.
Don't fool yourself.
Don't fool yourself. Look within. Look within.
Can bring this unity. People don't let them use or no.
Look within, family. Start your process of healing. Face your demons, man, and grow.
Yeah. No woman no cry. No woman. No man no cry. I say
Yes.
no woman.
Hold on a second. Greetings, caller. Welcome, family from abroad, over and yonder. I had to pause it just for you. Talk to us.
I like the topic that you choose tonight, and I listened to so many fabulous sisters giving their thoughts and their experiences.
Yes.
On the topic. And so the last lady who was married for 25 years.
Yes.
I could feel her pain, and I was in that. I was married at 16. By the next year, less than a year after, I saw the marriage was going on the rock. So I ended up divorcing my husband by the time my 19th birthday, and I went it alone because when you say you're going to meet with somebody, by the time the person comes, you spend a couple morning and you see that you're going down the same slippery slope. So after a time, I decided, I say, you know what? Best I go this thing alone. I got a job. I became independent. And like now that I am so independent that I don't really like look for a relationship because I have a lot to bring to the table. but what is going to come to the table by ways of a partner. And when I look to see in my community and around Guyana, many of the partnerships, how they may would end up, it have me in a weird place where I do not want to venture out because I wouldn't like to be another statistic.
Wow.
Me on the front page wrapped up in blood
Wow.
and they're looking for the perpetrator. So you have got to study a lot of things because many of these persons may come to you and profess to be good, and when you do get down into the bottom, then you realize who they are.
Mhm.
And that is very bad because you do not know what lies behind a closed door. You do not know what is there. So there is where you see many women decide to go it alone. They get the children and they make up their mind to look at those children because I would say before I have a child, living in a relationship with a person who is causing harm to that child, it is best to live by itself.
Mhm.
But there again, some of the children coming out from single parent relationships, better yet, the mothers, when they get to a certain time in life, they may tend to look at the mothers as the villain, but they don't ever put themselves in the position and try to find out the reason for the mother walking away from a relationship but that was very abusive to the mother. And the mother decided, before I die and leave you, let me get rid of the person, go it alone, and maintain you on my own. So sometimes the mother
True.
trying to
True.
do that, she may become the hated person.
True.
Because at one time, I was told by my former priest that I abuse my children because I refuse to take someone that is an African and that I caused more harm to my children because they were not allowed to grow up with a male figure in the home and he was blaming me. But I think I had to look for myself. I had to be strong. And I try to do the best, educate my children and give them everything. And if they want to hold me as a bad person because I try to save my life and allow them to grow up with a mother and they think that I was bad, so be it. But men out there are some men, all men bad. Because I had a father and I had an uncle who was very good to us. And I see there are men from before my time, in my time, and with these type of programs like what you have, many men listening into it will try to live a better life and behave better. Because if you constantly hear that you are doing the wrong things, you might decide to listen to your mistakes and move on from it.
Mhm.
So a program like this, I think is very good. And I hope many men could listen to it and take from the comments and the thoughts expressed by women like myself and others to look at themselves, examine themselves, and try to stop having these type of comments and assertions being made to them, and then they are guilty of what is going on. But there
Serious.
again, there are some who would try to do the good things like live to what woman want, and they might get a partner who is the exact opposite.
Mhm.
So this thing is not only that the men suffer in these situations. Women, there are some men who are sharing the same type of hurt being
True.
in relationship with women. So it's a two-way thing. And I hope that with programs like these, other people could learn and heal from what is being said.
Well,
I must compliment you
mm-hmm.
on this program. And I hope you could have it extended. If you don't have it like during this week, you could come back to it at a later date and let more people come in
Part 2
and share their
Part 2. No, I want to thank you, sis. You know, you're officially auntie from over abroad. You're officially auntie. You know, yes, I give thanks for you joining us. Thanks again for calling in. Tell a friend to tell a friend. All right, sis. She said, "Wow, man, this is." Okay, so we got to do a part 2 apparently, and this makes sense. And the men don't get way. She said, "What a lot of men also are under the yoke of women who also get abused by women in some cases, and that's a whole other conversation." But family, right now, the way I'm seeing this thing is, I've opened a can of worms, and we can't just close this. So, yeah, we gotta deal with this. We gotta deal with.
Emmanuel, excuse me. She said something too that struck me. The church, because the church is still ruling women, single women homes today. Like they're listening to these men that even their own relationships might not be good, but they're telling. Sorry, I don't want to go there, but it's a lot of it is in the churches, and it's so crazy.
To be continued, Jackie.
But I want to thank you on behalf of all the women tonight for this platform. No, seriously, it's like, wow, I haven't heard anything, especially from my Vision sisters. I've never
Well,
heard
I
anything like this.
thank you all for making it the reality that it is. And like I said, to be continued. I can't wait to hear Rosemary when she call in. We're gonna do this again very soon. Actually, we ain't gonna let it sleep. We gonna steep this like tea. We gonna sip it slow. So stay tuned for part 2 and join us on Wednesday, family. Don't forget Wednesday we have a special guest coming in. A brother is joining us. Our brother from across the water. But actually not across the water. That's not the truth. He's not across the water. He's right here in Barbados. Let me just put this up really quick. Brother Abdul Rahman, he's going to be with us on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Brother represent Nation of Islam. I'm looking forward to that conversation. It's been a long time coming, and it's finally here. So join us on Wednesday. We have the brothers coming in the building. Tell a friend to tell a friend. This week is going to be one of those weeks, and just keep being aware of yourself and healing of yourself and the growth of yourself. That's the only way out of this situation, is by knowing yourself and knowing your true power and knowing your true worth. So thank you for calling in. Thank you for staying tuned, and let's do this together, family. That's the only way we can do this, family. Daffodil, just for you, Daffodil, just for you, Daffodil.
No woman no cry. No woman. No man no cry. I say, no woman no cry. No woman. No woman no cry. I say, I remember
And it used to in a tenement yard
in Trench Town
in Barbados, man.
Over surfing the hypocrites as they would mingle with the good people we meet. Good friends we have, oh, good friends we've lost
along the way.
Say,
Yeah.
in
Can't forget it, family.
So
No
dry
white
your tears, I
I
say.
say. We can't forget it, but we can move forward, family.
No woman not
We can't
cry.
forget it, but we can move forward, family. Heal.
No woman. No woman no cry.
Start the healing process, family.
Woman no cry.
No
No,
cry.
no. Please don't shed no tear. No woman. No woman no cry. I say, I remember
That's right.
when we used to sit
Yeah.
in the government yard,
in Bridgetown.
and then Georgie would make the firelight as it was what would burning through the night.
Tell a friend, family. It has begun.
Then we would cook cornmeal porridge, a minute of which I'll share with you.
Was there a menace, family?
See, my feet here is my only carrot.
One perfect balance.
So I've got to push on through. But while I'm gone, everything is gonna be alright.
Yes.
Everything is gonna be alright.
Daffodil.
Everything is gonna be alright.
All the sisters.
Everything is gonna be alright.
All the callers.
Everything is gonna be alright.
Everyone that tune in tonight.
Everything is gonna be alright.
Everyone tune in the future.
Yes, everything is gonna be alright.
Worldwide, man.
Everything is gonna be
Guyana.
alright. So woman, no cry. Oh no. Don't shed no tears.
Don't shed no tears, man.
No woman.
Guyana.
Woman, no cry.
Hearts, family, hearts.
Cause my little sister.
My little sisters.
Don't shed no tears.